Hey, what's going on, guys? So let's get into it. Let me show you how to automate the login page of Amazon. So let's go to our sign in. This is the page that we're going to use. So first we want to inspect it. We want to look at our input field. Oh, look at that. This has a nice ID. AP, email login. We could use name. We could use a combination of an XPath with the input field and the name and the class. There's a lot of ways to do this. And then we could also, let's check out our continue button. Okay, so there's no ID on the input, but we might be able to click the span. We might have to make an XPath for this guy. So let's go ahead and get started. So we want to go into our variable page. Let's zoom in. So we're going to copy this page. I'll pin that so that stays there. So let's copy this. Let's go to our pages, paste it, and we'll call this Amazon login page. And we will change this name here to be Amazon login page. Don't forget to match your constructor. Okay, so we really have two elements we're working with here. So we have our number or email. So we'll just call this number. We'll just say number or email input by. And then we'll call this number or email input element. That's kind of a mouthful, but you can name it anything. Oh, nope, that shouldn't go there. This should go here. Okay, so for the input field, we have a nice ID we can use. So we'll change, we'll leave this by, and then we'll change this XPath to be ID. And let's take a look again. Our input field, the ID was this AP login. I like to copy it. You can type it, but sometimes you might make a mistake. So I like to just paste it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get the continue button. I'm going to get the continue button here. So we could try to click this ID, continue announce, but it's better to click the class name. One thing about class names is they are shared by other elements, so you might want to check to see how many times it's found. So this has one match, which is good, because if you're looking for other elements that may share that class name, if there's one, then that's perfect. But if there's two or more, it might click the one you're not expecting. So we'll use class name, and we'll say, here, let me just duplicate this, fix that space, and we'll call this continue button by, and we'll do by class name, and we'll change this to match the class name, and then we'll change this to be button element. All right, and so we'll call this method login, and we will, so we need to wait twice for the input field, and then we need to wait for the name of the element. So name of the element we're going to wait for is going to be the number or input by. And This is going to be the number or input by, or input element. So, but we're not actually going to click, we're going to send keys. And so here we want this to be number or email. So we'll say num o email. Do or. No, that's not quite what I wanted it to do. Here, this is why. So we're gonna parameterize this and call this num or email. And then we're gonna paste that inside, because this can take both a number or an email, but they're both a string. So we also want to wait for the continue button. So continue button by, and then we want to click the continue button. So continue button element dot click. Okay, and that's really it for our page. So let's zoom out. This is our page. Zoom back in. Okay, so now we need the test. So let's get a, I opened that one by mistake. So let's go ahead and get the test. So I'm going to open up our example test here. And then we are going to change it to match our eBay, excuse me, our Amazon. So let me change the name. So this should be Amazon login test. I can type Amazon login test. All right. And we need to make our class name be unique. All right. So, hey, you guys should check out Breaking the Tech. I go into a lot more detail about this stuff, but we're going to change this URL to be the Amazon sign-in page URL. So let's go ahead and just change this. So here, let me zoom out. Yeah, that's a crazy URL. We could handle that in better ways, but for now, we're just going to use that because this will take us directly to the sign-in page. And so let's go ahead and add our page. Now you don't always have to put the private access modifier. If you don't put an access modifier, it defaults to private, but I'll just keep it here. So Amazon login page, and we'll call it Amazon. And then, so it's going to go to the URL, okay? And then we're going to do Amazon login. Well, we need to pass in a username, email, or phone number. So let's try that. So let's do string, and we'll just say number. Right? Okay, one more. And it takes a number or a login or an email. Okay, so let's try that. Let me zoom in a bit. Excuse me. So now, here, let me go ahead and add a thread.sleep just so we can see what it does after it runs. We're going to delete the thread.sleep after we're done. And then let's give this method a meaningful name. Log in to Amazon. Okay, so let's right click this and run it. It should pop up in this window. I changed my main display. Let's give that a second here. Nice, okay. Oh no, it failed. So let's see why it failed. Oh, okay. Okay. So Again, I made the same mistake I made in the previous video. So this object reference, and this is good because you guys will see this a lot. You'll run into this yourself. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. So what's happening is we are referencing the object, but we haven't created an instance of the object. So we actually have to set the object we're referencing as an instance. So right here, what I need to do is say Amazon is equal to a new Amazon login page class. And that takes an argument of driver, which is the Chrome driver. So now, so this still might fail. I saw Amazon pop up and look a little different, but that's okay. We're not actually, this is just a setup process of what it would look like. Okay, great. Let's see. So we should, okay, so that failed. I should have done it by now. So let's see why that's not. So I could just let it finish. Let me double check what I set the wait utility for. 40 seconds. Let's see what it. Okay, it failed. Let's see why. Probably because it couldn't find one of the selectors. Really? Okay, so it could not find that ID, which is kind of surprising. Let's click into this again. Huh. You know, I'm wondering if this is in an iframe. Maybe we need to switch to the iframe. Let me see. No. Interesting. Okay, well, hold on a second. Let me test this out. Let me see. So I'm going to go back to my page and I'm going to grab my selector. That's really surprising. A lot of times IDs work perfectly. So okay. All right, let's take a look. So let's try something like this. Let me see if this will find it. Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So it's there. It does find it. So that ID is valid. That is unexpected. Okay, so how would we fix that? So let's try, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna comment out this line and let's try something similar. Let's try this. So all I'm doing is basically using the same selector, but it's in the format of an XPath. So we're still looking for the ID, but we're going to look for it through an input, or excuse me, through an XPath. And this XPath is saying look for a tag where it's an input and its ID is equal to this AP email login. So let's take a look at that. So let's go back to our test. So we don't need this one, and we don't need our wait utilities. Here, actually, let me set our wait utilities to a shorter time, so it won't wait 40 whole seconds. It will just look for 10 seconds. If it doesn't find it within 10 seconds, it will close it out. So let's take a look. So let's go ahead and run, save everything, and then run it. This will just pop up on the screen. Oh, perfect. So, yes, this will happen. But we'll try it one more time. Interesting, it would have entered it by now. Or you know what, actually? Wait a second. Did I set, before I click the actual Amazon login page, I might have just set it to click and I never passed in a string. So let's see if I did that. Did I do that? No, I didn't. That was wishful thinking too. Okay, so let's try this. So that didn't work. So let's try the actions class. So now I would do actions dot send keys to number or email input element, num or email, and then we're going to do dot. So we're not going to do build and perform, because if you do perform, it invokes build, like the perform method includes build, so just do perform. Okay, let's try that. Let's see what happens. So now we're using the Advanced Actions API. So let's go back here and click Run Test. It is not having it. Okay, that's fine. So what could we do? So it does look like it places the cursor there. So here, let's try this. Let's try this. Wait, hold on, we'll keep that one. We'll do this. Okay, so let's not actually send it to the element. Let's just send the keys wherever the cursor is. So let's see what that does. So let's go back, click Run Test. That's not doing anything. Interesting. Actually, you know what? Technically, that's not even going to reach it. It won't even reach it because it's still trying to wait for this. So what we can do, yeah, let's try this again. But this, because it can't find it, it's never reaching, it's failing before it reaches these lines of code here. So let's go ahead and try that again. Okay, so that started to do something. Login. Interesting. Okay, so let's slow it down a bit just so we can see. So this is a perfect use case for the thread.sleep. So we'll set this to 8 seconds. Okay, so I'm just going to shut this down and try it again. Okay, so let's give that some time. 8 seconds was probably a while, but let's see what it does. Okay, so it entered our text. That's great. But why is it failing now? So here, let's set this back down to like half of that. And let's see, why is it failing again? Let's go back to our page. Okay, I see. This was a mistake on my part. I needed to put this continue button by inside of here. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to leave this sleep here just so we can see what it's going to do. And you know what? I'll put one more sleep between these two. So this is kind of messy, guys. You don't really want to, you definitely don't want to leave this like this. You want to find a way to wait properly. So we'll say 2 seconds. But sometimes you need to slow it down so you can see what it's doing. So okay, we'll run test. Okay, so let's see. That should enter our number. Perfect. And then our continue button. Perfect. That worked. All right, guys, we're not going to go any further. We could, but you know, we don't want to spam Amazon. So this is just for practice. So, but make sure that in your code you clean up your sleeps. You don't want to. Well, here, let's run it again without the sleeps. Let's see what it does. Let's get rid of this sleep. And we will get rid of this sleep. We'll clean up these methods. You know, I'm really curious why it didn't work with this input. But we're about out of time. Oh man, that hurt. Oof, that hurts to delete those. I'll have to look at it later. I'll have to look at it later. So, or if you guys are interested, you know, we can revisit that and see exactly why. But all right, let's go ahead and clean this up. Okay, so, and we don't need these either. Okay, so let's. Now we would want to wait on something. Like you don't want to just load the page and send the keys. So here, let's take a look at this again. Okay, perfect. It works. So, okay, what I would do, because I wouldn't want to just like you know, send the keys, wait for something on the page that's meaningful that probably won't change. Maybe the icon. Maybe sign in or create an account. Let's see. So I'm creating a XPath for this. I'm going to use the tag h1 and one of the classes and then the text contained. So we'll say oops. And then we want this text here. All right, and then I will check to see if that exists. And if you guys are curious about this method here, I can leave me something down in the comments and I can go into this more in detail. This is like a custom function that I made. Okay, so it doesn't find that, so that is not going to be a good option. Interesting. Okay. So, you know what? I'll try the logo. Be able to let's see. So we'll call it a icon. And there's no text. There's no text. We could just do aria label, but let's just try this. Let's try that. See if that comes up with anything. Nothing. Interesting. I'm really surprised it didn't work for that. Okay, all right. Let's try something else. So, okay, let's see. Let's go back to our page. And I'm just going to duplicate this. And we're going to try by name. Just name. Okay, this should work. And this will be just call it okay, let's put that here, and then let's put that here. All right, so now let's do wait until visible, and we're going to be looking for the number or email input by. I love how I said that and clicked the wrong one. Okay, so number or email input by. All right. So num or email. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. So this will wait for it. Here, let's just try this. Okay, so we also need to now put a comma and say number or email input element. But before we do that, I am curious if this will just work without doing special SYN keys. Because if the advanced actions API doesn't work, something's wrong. So let's try that. Or something else is going on at least, because it's kind of a brute force kind of way. So you want to try SYN keys first, it's a bit softer, and then advanced actions is like, all right, I'm getting the welder out, or I'm cutting it, or Okay, let's just go ahead. All right, so now, okay, we have everything. So this is name, input. These are all in the correct places. Okay, so I'm gonna put a sleep in here because I am curious now. I want to see what's gonna happen. So we'll set this to 5 seconds, and we will go back to our Amazon login test. And so it'll send the number before it clicks the button, so it should pause. And then after it clicks the button, we'll put a sleep in here. Let's just say 5 seconds. And let's run it. Okay, I'm not even going to try to get past this. I don't want Amazon to get mad at me. So we're going to close that. And we are going to run test. Okay. So it was our selector. You know, that's very interesting. So that tells us that just because you have an ID doesn't mean it's going to work. So the lesson here is, can I zoom in? Okay. So okay, this is great actually. Because I mean, I'm so used to IDs working like that is, especially if it's not auto generated. There's some crazy numbers and text after it. If it's just a string, then that's great. Normally that works every time, and I've done this a lot. So so this is a lesson. You know, if it doesn't work the first time, try a different selector within the input field. I will see you in the next one.